Kelly, Sheila, Benny, Teresa, Melissa, Jennifer, Corrine, Candace, Sonia, Navi, Joe. Where is everybody? Oh, wait a second. Isn't the year 2025? It is. This is the new McDonald's. This was built circa 2013, I think. 2012, 2013. There's no more Play Place. There's no more Red Roof. There's no more Ronald. This was my first job ever. McDonald's on Pleasant Valley Street in Methuen, Massachusetts by the old Methuen Mall and the new Methuen Loop. I started here on January 1st, 1998, and I was a character, a big character. I loved singing. I loved changing my voice. I loved entertaining and telling jokes. And I worked with some great coworkers. This was my first job. During high school, when I was at Central Catholic High School, I started as a regular crew member, and in 2000, I became a crew chief. In the fall of 2000, I became a shift opening manager. And then in December, well, this is Methuen 1. Methuen 3 on Pelham Street needed a new closing manager, and I said yes. And then, while I was at Northern Essex Community College, I wanted to go to Merrimack College, so I quit. And my mom tells me that was one of the biggest regrets of my life. Because what follows is what follows, and I will tell you guys. I am a McDonald's legend here at Methuen 1. Maybe not this new Methuen 1, but the original and the stomping grounds of this Methuen 1. And I will tell you why in a minute. Not only because I was a character, because of other things that followed throughout my life. So getting back, I used to work here at McDonald's with all my crazy coworkers. And we had some great original customers. We had morning customers. We had Eddie, Jeannie, we had Rose, we had Mary, we had Alice, and we had also night customers, Sam and Marie, and we had an original all-day and afternoon customer, Chuck. Can you believe that? Chuck of all names. So, as I was saying, I worked here, and I remember a lot of funny, crazy moments with me, going nutty in the drive-thru, going nutty on the grill, and just being myself. So, one fun memory I remember was when I was in the drive-thru, I think it was in 1999, I said to myself, I'm going to pretend to be my cat Roy, as if he was working here. So I went, and the person in the drive-thru went, what? And I was like, hi, may I help you? So they kind of caught on. I was kind of being a really weirdo there. Another memory I have is reciting my lines while doing dishes when I was a senior in high school for Mr. Demers' drama class, for the plays, for the little scenes we had to do in drama class. And I remember messing up Louis Rosario's hair. He claimed he was Eric Estrada's cousin, which I think he is. And he used to have slick hair. None of us have slick hair anymore. Both me and him don't. He'd put water in his hair, and I go, Louis, I'm so jealous of you. I used to mess it up all the time. So those are a couple of fun stories working here. But my goal was always to go to Merrimack College, which I did. I did that. So I quit McDonald's in 2001 in the spring of March when I was on Pelham Street, Methuen 3. And I went to Merrimack College, and I wanted to always move to LA. And I pushed for it, and and I studied, and I got only a few C+, a few C's, and everything else were A's and B's. And I applied to grad school for screenwriting, and only UCLA interviewed me. They rejected me, but they accepted me to their professional one-year program. So I came back here and I said, hey, Callie, I'm moving. I need some fry boxes, back in summer of 2005. And she gave me fry boxes, and I packed up and I moved. I always have a dream. I always tell people when I worked here at my own stomping grounds, I'm going to LA someday. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be a screenwriter. I'm going to be an actor. I'm going to be a producer. And I went for that. So, you guys, that's how I'm kind of a legend here. I was a legend when I worked here. Okay. Now, when I used to work here, I was not the ladies' man. I was a virgin, as people will call it. I never did anything with anybody. And being that virgin, that carried on to college and when I moved to LA. And that kind of hurt me when I moved to LA. And we'll get into that in a minute. So, I moved to LA and I went to UCLA. And then one of my friends from Merrimack, Chuck Dukas, got a job at CBS after he moved to LA. And he urged me, Mark, apply to CBS. We can work at The Price is Right together. It's Bob Barker's final season. So I did that. I interviewed and I got the job. So I can say I am a living legend here at McDonald's. I am the only guy who's worked at this store in this stomping grounds to get to work Bob Barker's final episode taping of The Price is Right, even to be a CBS page in Hollywood during that time in 2007. So while I was there, I got to do my thing with the audience. I got to sing with them out in line and have fun and got everybody to sing because I loved doing that here. This is where it all started. The singing, the changing my voice, the entertaining and being funny, and the virginity. And it just continued into LA. So I left CBS in the summer of 2007. And my friend Chuck, who's not my friend anymore, told me I could never work any shows in the lot again. And he also bashed me. He said that I was a virgin. I was a virgin. So a lot of people at CBS that we used to work with did not like me because I was not only creative online by being funny like I was over here and singing, and I was also a virgin. So that hurt me. But then I just kept pushing on and on in my own way. And I was needed on Glee. Brad Falchuk called me on Glee. I got to be a creepy math teacher in the break room in the episode Preggers. He actually had me in a scene. And he called me, my character, Mr. Sinacori, after my last name. The creepy math teacher who always sings down the halls. It's in dialogue, guys. So that's another reason I'm a living legend here at this McDonald's, the stomping ground. And then not only Glee, I got to work on Grey's Anatomy as a hospital staffer. I got to work on Desperate Housewives as a steel worker. And I got to be in a scene with Eva Longoria. And I got to work on so many different shows out in LA. And then in 2014 to 19, I got to escort all the audiences and process them and coordinate them in all the sitcoms, such as Mike and Molly, Mom, Two Broke Girls, The Big Bang Theory, The Connors, Girl Meets World, Fuller House. And I got to do trivia out in line with the Fuller House audience and the Girl Meets World audience and the Connors audience with all the shows that came before them and the predecessor shows. And that's another reason I'm a living legend here at this McDonald's over here. So you could say Sinacori is a living legend. But I never, even though I went to college, even though I moved to LA, and I failed. Okay, I gotta say, I failed. I'm a wash-up wannabe actor failure. But I started here, and I started here at $5.25 an hour. And then I moved to LA, and I was making what? $8 an hour? When I left at McDonald's on Palm Street in 2001, I was making like, what, $6.75 or something. So moving to LA in 2005, 6, 7, by 7 I was making $8. And that stayed the same way for a couple of years. I was making 10, 11, 12 before I moved home in 2019. But guys, if I came back here at this McDonald's, you know, I have references. I have Kelly Britt Steinberg. She was the manager here in the 90s and the 80s, late 80s, or throughout the 90s. And 2000s, and early 2010, and 11, 12. I have Alex Stein, famous Alex Stein, who's all for Trump and everything. He's a big Republican online. He told me, Mark, film in front of your old McDonald's or the stomping grounds. I'd love to see it. I have Roger Dobkowitz, the ex-former producer of The Price is Right, who told me I was great pepping up that audience for Bob. He can also vouch for me. I'm a great worker, guys. And if I came back here, now anyone that's a store manager here, anyone, and they see this, Methuen 1, this is kind of like my video interview application. Mark Sinacori is always on time. I was an hour early every time I worked here in the late 90s. And then when I worked at The Price is Right, I was always an hour and a half early. For Bob Barker's last episode, I was 6 hours early. And everything I worked after that, all the extra work on TV shows and the paging on all the TV shows, and before I moved home, I was always at least 2 hours early for everything. So I could say I've been early for everything. I have a lot of energy. Customers love me. Customers love me. Audience members love me at all these shows I worked. Even if they didn't get in, they say, Mark, you made our day so much more fun. Even though we didn't get in, we'll always remember that. At The Price is Right, at Fuller House, Girl Meets World, The Connors, just by singing to them or doing trivia with them out in line. So I'm a memorable guy. I'm a memorable worker. And if I came back at McDonald's here to work, I would not want to be a shift manager. I'd have to be higher than that. I have to be at least a manager in training, or a second assistant, or maybe an assistant manager. But I'd have to make nothing less than $20 an hour. How many jobs can Sinacori say that he's worked that make $20 an hour or more? McDonald's, they're making that here, I bet, by now. And all the jobs I worked, Home Depot, Jersey Mike's, all the jobs in LA, even the studio jobs as a page and an extra, I didn't make that much. So this is my video application, guys. Hire Sinacori, the washed up wannabe actor, entertainer from LA.